It's done inside 2 days in 107 overs. There are plenty of stats that if you enjoy numbers like we do on ESPN Cricinfo, head over to the site or download the app, because here I am with Sanjay Manjrekar on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday for a historic post-series review. 5 days to review 2 tests and 2 days for the second test. India get the result in their favour. What are your immediate impressions of how this test should be remembered?
As a test match that was unique, obviously the length of the test match is interesting. My shortest test match as well, where I've commentated on, it is the shortest ever test match, but there was one India-Australia at the Wankhede Stadium that finished in 2 days and 9 overs or something, but this one beats that hands down. It finished on day 2. So yes, but as I said before somewhere, there is a Hindi saying that Zindagi badi honi chahiye, lambi nahi. So although the test match was short, still for me, it gave me a lot of memories that I'll cherish.
Yeah. We'll come to those storylines, but first up, is this a good advertisement for Test cricket? Do you want to see this kind of surface? I mean, what's your verdict on the surface? I'll come to, but does this augur well for the future of this format?
Let's look at this as an aberration, and we've had some very short test matches. Let's not forget we have quite a few at home as well. So yes, this was extremely short, but in the end, I don't know. See, I'm happy that I've got something to take home in that test match. There have been some brilliant performances, plus the fact that it was so much in favor of the bowlers. It gave you, insight into a Virat Kohli getting, that score in the first innings and all that. So yes, I don't know. I'm a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to Test cricket, in the sense how much good advertisement of Test cricket will make Test cricket survive longer. Is that at all possible?
There would be the impression, similar to the last tour of South Africa, that what a great opportunity to win a series. Sometimes a 2-test series gives you the advantage if you have a strong bowling attack, which India does, and experienced batters, of which India had a few. Is there regret at the end of it, or is this a result that can be celebrated?
I think if I was the coach and team management, and I'm sure Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid would be thinking likewise, there should be regret, because this was the most beatable South African team. If you just go down history and look at all the South African teams that Indian teams had to beat there, I mean, those were tough teams. So this was a great opportunity. The Dean Elgar 180, prevented India from actually creating history, winning 2 test matches and then of course clinching the series.
Would you have wanted a series decider here?
Absolutely. And I said this before as well. Didn't see the point of having 3 one-days in the middle of T20s and test matches, considering it's not even a 50 overs World Cup year.
Mohammad Siraj, standout bowler, you say, for India, and lots to like about Mohammad Siraj, who's not blowing hot and cold necessarily, but is actually becoming quite a consistent test bowler.
And a guy who's making an impact in 3 formats. Impact being the key word, puts you in a position, even if it was World Cup, India-Pakistan game, gets wickets with batters defending and all that. So it is an incredible feat for a modern day player to play 3 formats, be viable in 3 formats, and then excel at it. So tremendous.
India were brave in the aftermath of losing the first test by saying, we don't need Shardul Thakur's batting, let's get in a bowler. Could they have been brave at the start of the series to have a more potent fast bowling lineup?
I can understand why they wanted batting depth, considering that there were 3 new guys batting at 1, 3 and 5, plus Shardul's record in South Africa. And it's unfair to put all the blame on Shardul Thakur. I thought generally India didn't bowl well in that first innings of the first test, and that's where the series slipped away from India, winning the series.
What does this short cameo by Mukesh Kumar do though for Shardul Thakur's pecking order in the test team, which usually happens only on overseas tours?
Well, I fear it will be a while before Shardul Thakur gets his next test match, because now they'll pay close attention to his bowling performances. Unfortunately for him, he also failed with the bat. Had he got a 45-50, then maybe yes. So India will find maybe other ways to strengthen their batting, but Shardul Thakur may not be playing a test match for India for a while.
Poor Prasidh Krishna is in quite a social media storm, because there were those who said we can't wait for Prasidh to be fit, because he's the point of difference in South Africa, something India missed last time. He's the taller bowler, the bowler with the physique to have an impact. And even on an extremely helpful second test surface at Cape Town, he perhaps had the least impact as a fast bowler. Why? And what's the road ahead for him?
Down on confidence, like most people are at the start of your test career and an important game, and there was pressure on him immediately in that first innings because India had got only 260 runs. Plus India's tactic, where I thought they lost the test match, the first test match, of bowling the ball up, getting it to swing, and Prasidh Krishna found that very tough. So he had to start his test career almost, in South Africa, bowling something that he's never done before. Plus, you've got to look at 12 first-class games. That's all he's played, compared to a Mukesh Kumar, who proved to be more, not obviously sort of suited and potentially an impact-making bowler, but made more of a contribution than Prasidh Krishna. So bowling style, I think, is very important.
Yeah. It's funny, we didn't see a single ball of spin in this test
That's
match.
another talking point.
Yeah.
So there are so many talking points, actually. We can talk about this test match and maybe have a longer chat on the test match than the actual test match. So many talking points.
Longer show for the test than the test itself. Very good. What about the longevity that Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli still have to offer? Has this series given you any kind of renewed impressions on how important they are as batters for what we have called multiple times a team, at least a batting in transition?
Now, Rohit Sharma, we have to find out, and Rohit Sharma will be the man to let us know by his actions how much he's invested in Test cricket, how much he wants to play Test cricket, because these are still, batters from the old school. All the new guys will have to adapt to Test cricket. These are guys who have to adapt to 50 overs cricket and T20 cricket. So if Rohit Sharma wants to extend his Test career, it's in his hands. I don't think there's going to be competition. Virat Kohli will no doubt play as long as it's possible, and thank God for India that we have a Virat Kohli who showed on this trip the kind of challenges that the batters face, that there's a big difference between him, distance between him and the next best Indian Test batter, at least until Rishabh Pant comes in.
So I wonder if those who are charting the roadmap forward for Test cricket, whether they need to also learn something from this series. It was always going to be a tough one without both Pujara and Rahane. While there is a very strong case to move on from them, would you revisit that and say there is still perhaps room for a Pujara, if he gets runs in domestic cricket or county cricket, or Rahane with the same story, to come in, because we might need more experience for the end of the year? We also remind ourselves there's a long home series, but I don't know what impressions we can make from batting in the home series when you go to Australia.
It's not a good way to look at it, not keep coming back and, like we did in the World Test Championship final as well, getting Ajinkya Rahane back in, who got a score, but India eventually lost the final. So I think the toughest challenge is behind Indian cricket when they go to Australia on the next foreign trip. Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, I don't know about Shreyas Iyer, but they'll manage better because there'll be only pace and bounce, not lateral movements. So I don't think India should panic, but I expect a much better batting performance. And with Virat Kohli, the way he's batting, and with Rishabh Pant hopefully at the end of the year being fit, I think, and KL Rahul will be your option in the middle. It's a pretty decent batting lineup without Pujara and Rahane.
Would you still have expected more from the batters in this tour?
No, I've become a very pragmatic person very late in life. Is that this is how Test cricket is going to be, because all the new guys that are coming and playing the sport, it's not their first sort of skill, it's not their main skill, which is Test match batting. So it's like how, interestingly, when the first World Cup was held, we had a batter from India playing a 60 overs World Cup and getting 35 not out. That was a Test purist trying to adjust to limited over. This is the other way around.
Rohit Sharma, when we talk about his future, that is a call we'll know. We also have the interesting prospect of what his white ball future is, at least for the shortest format. How about his rating as captain? Tactically, through the course of this series, did he not seem at his sharpest?
I respect him as captain. I like him as captain. Really felt sad for him for the 50 overs World Cup escaping his hands. I thought he was brilliant as leader, plus the example that he set at the top. But not impressive. one must say, couple of important mistakes, and that's how Test cricket is. You miss the moments, you miss the game, and that happened in the second Test as well, along with the first. India paid a heavy price for the first. Fortunately, Siraj ensured that Rohit's mistake in the second Test match, when he again had somebody like a Siraj just bowling 1 over while Markram did all that, and the lead swelled up to 60. In the end, when you look at the bowling figures, Mukesh Kumar has bowled more than Mohammad Siraj, and Prasidh Krishna not too far behind Mohammad Siraj. So that again was a mistake which Mohammad Siraj had actually given allowance for.
South Africa point of view, would they look at this as a lost opportunity too, having brushed India aside by an innings in one Test, and there could have been a case to perhaps register a series win, and yet they drop points in the World Test Championship cycle. Their selection, their decision to win the toss and bat first on this surface, did they too misread it? I mean, Keshav Maharaj, there doesn't seem any reason to play Keshav Maharaj, even if it's an out of form batter making way.
Even Jadeja was picked by India, so it was something that India had wanted the option of spin. The sun was out and it was hot out there. It wasn't a green top. It was interesting, but it wasn't a green top, and hence the inclusion of a spinner from both sides. Just imagine this South African team playing the first Test match without Dean Elgar, and India would have won the Test match. So South Africa have a lot to do. They don't commit themselves as much to Test cricket as well. So the road ahead for South Africa, we'll have to just wait and watch. It doesn't seem very rosy. Bowling as well wasn't impressive, and that's why I felt India lost their best opportunity to beat South Africa. And some calls taken by Dean Elgar, I can understand that, wanting to bat first, the old adage of batting first, because the pitch was tricky.
We've had a 3-day finish and a 2-day finish. Verdict on the surfaces here, because that tends to stir up a lot of debate and conversation when Test matches finish as fast as they do in our part of the world.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, the obvious is there to be seen. The pitches weren't great. Plus, in the current sort of landscape where you have T20 batters and 50-over batters, adjusting to Test cricket, I think just make their job a little easier and prepare good batting pitches. I don't think there was malice intended in the way the pitch was prepared, because that suited India more than South Africa. But it had a lot to do with, one, the pitches being pitches with a bit of spice. A lot of young players on both sides trying to learn on the job. And I guess in many ways this is something that will be par for the course going forward. And that Kookaburra ball is extremely difficult in the first 25-30 overs. And in that last Test match, only twice we went just over 30 overs. So we saw the worst. It was the perfect storm. Nobody played well enough to take that innings post 40-45, and who knows how the pitch would have behaved, because when the ball gets softer, suddenly the pitch looks a lot easier. But Markram got 100, KL Rahul got 100. So,
speaking of KL Rahul, it seems like Test cricket away and home for India are like two different sports. We're now going to see a big 5-Test series against England on what we expect to be turners, or at least pitches that assist turn. Akshar Patel would be back. Shreyas Iyer might look very different. India have a lot of options there. Is KL Rahul the option as keeper from what you've seen here? That's another challenge, to keep to Jadeja, Ashwin, possibly Akshar at home.
What's the other option? Because KS Bharat is the second option.
If Ishan is the only other.
Sorry?
Ishan Kishan is the only other.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing from wicket keepers is that he's pretty good, Ishan Kishan. It will be slightly risky going with KL Rahul as the keeper batter, but with his 100, he makes himself undroppable. Horses for courses work for bowlers, not for batters. So I don't see KL Rahul, because he's got 100 in South Africa, not playing on Indian pitches. So yeah, it's a tough call. And if Ishan Kishan is available, then maybe he takes a batter's position, KL Rahul, and then Ishan Kishan becomes the keeper batter.
And finally, just the fact that they have won a Test in Cape Town, which they never had, and the series is square. India go to South Africa, and in your time, it was almost impossible to come away with anything. So is this a historic occasion? Is this something that ought to be celebrated, or do we feel like we just wanted a little more?
Definitely a little more, because of the kind of achievements that you've seen from the Indian team away from India. In the 1990s, maybe, yes. But, in the last 4-5 years, India have been tremendous, beating Australia twice in Australia and improved performances everywhere. And this South African team, they should have won the series. But not losing, we had 3 series. T20 series, one-day series and the test series. We didn't lose even one. We drew the first one, won the second and drew the third, and that's never happened before. And that is, I guess, history.
Thank you very much, Sanjay Manjrekar, for your time and your thoughts. Hope you've enjoyed Sanjay's analysis through the course of this very short test series. You can catch all the stats and get yourself updated on the ESPN Cricinfo app. We'll see you again very soon on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday.